Testing? Testes? 1, 2, 3?
I don't know shit about fuck.
Are you fucking Canadian? I like sucking.
Come on, man.
Legit bad podcast.
He has a legit bad.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Shit. Buttons.
Oh, hey.
Hello. We're on. Welcome
Here
to
we
Legit
are.
Bat. I spilled beer on myself, and I can't figure out my buttons.
And Ben's here.
The
Ben's here, everybody.
Classic episode.
Yay.
Hi, everyone. Long
Ben.
time no see.
Yeah.
Yay.
Ben's here. Yay. He finally has time to join us, which is great. We love having Ben. The listeners fucking miss Ben. I tell them that all the time. He's like, "Oh, you're just saying that." I'm like, "No, they fucking miss you."
No,
Oh,
the
thanks for
game's
saying
over
that
here.
live.
We love it.
Yeah.
Happy to be back.
Oh, Johnny in the chat said, "Goodness, yes, I put a fart right at the beginning there for you." And whatever
welcome,
dude
Johnny.
was, yeah, whatever dude was saying that farts aren't funny. I mean,
Yeah, they are.
wait,
I mean, they are.
just for you, dude. Yeah, it's funny, still funny.
Oh, you know what's funny? I could tell by the audio that was actually a Joe's Butt special.
It was not. That
That
was
was from
Ghost
Ghost.
from My Third Eye.
Oh, I forgot that he made recordings for you.
He just sent
Just
me
one.
one. Yeah, just the one. But
One
it's good.
special fart just for Joe.
Fuck off.
I'm very burpy, so if that happens, deal with it. Anyway, we have Barbs versus the world on today, and I was trying to get her to describe herself to me, and she's a comedian, not a stand-up comic yet. You might
Definitely a
Yes.
bartender.
definitely a bartender, and a TikTok personality, which is fucking hilarious because we're always ripping on TikTokers.
Please do. We deserve it.
You're one of the few, I'm sure, that's actually interesting to watch on the TikToks. Still not going to download it, but I believe you're doing a great thing over there.
Well, thank you for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So we were introduced to Barbs a couple weeks ago on Abs in a Six Pack with Skidmark, aka Chris, aka Sir Seat Sitter. I can't even get that
Yeah,
out
he
of
has
my
more
mouth.
names than anyone I know.
And so we did a live. It was kind of like a radio show. I didn't know what to expect going into that, but if you guys haven't checked that out, you can check out Abs in a Six Pack. He just posted that episode, I think. So, but we get introduced to Barbs, and we're like, we gotta talk to this chick. Let's get her on the show.
Yeah.
So-
Thank you.
Tell everybody about yourself and the shitty state you live in, and all that stuff.
I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn. So I have about 6 homeless men right outside my window. If you hear them fighting, please don't mind it. I'm trying to become a comedian. I do open mics, podcasts. Anyone who's willing to give me a platform and listen to my bullshit come out of my mouth, that's great. I appreciate it. I'm a bartender, and I have a cheesy joke where I'm saying I'm not just a bartender, I'm a barb tender. And it's a good joke. It's a nice dad joke that the middle-aged men really
Love
enjoy.
dad jokes.
I live in New York City, which is just getting worse and worse. Yesterday there was a track fire that kept me 45 minutes under a river, so that was nice. On the train.
wow.
Yeah.
On top of everything else.
It's great. I'm living the dream. I'm still living in boxes. Moved back about a month ago and still living out of boxes.
Nice.
We all do that, except Jen. She's really good about unpacking the boxes.
Shut up.
I feel like you look organized. Jen looks like she's super organized.
A little bit.
Well, when we moved, we bought our house a couple of years ago, and Joe had to work, and I worked from home. So I got our whole house unpacked in 3 days because it was annoying to see it all. Sitting around, I was like, I can't. So
I'm annoyed. I just don't have the motivation to do it.
yeah, but my annoyance is my motivation. They go hand in hand. It fuels me.
She hates it the whole time, but she's like, I have to do it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. It's like when I do laundry or dishes, Joe's like, you're always cleaning. I don't like cleaning. I just hate the mess more,
I think
Or
you
like-
like cleaning.
Or like
Mm-mm.
when you have to use 3
I hate
different
the
cups
mess
throughout the night because you can't leave it on the counter because she puts it in the dishwasher.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
or
if
knives,
it's unattended,
or cutting
I mean,
boards, or
come
You've
on.
anything
gotten
else.
so much better about that since Callie. You will actually take
Oh,
it
yeah.
and go, is this anyone's?
I don't even
No?
touch
No
it when there are
cream?
people
Okay,
over.
no cream.
I leave all of the cups out when people are over.
Bullshit.
I clean them out. I do. I wait to clean them up before everybody leaves now. I've learned my lesson, guys.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So what do you usually talk? Do you have your own show? your own podcast, or you just jump on other
I
people's? And
I used to a few years ago when I was living in just in this apartment, but a few years ago when my ex and I were living here, back in the living room, I used to like do like a little Barbs versus the World show where I kind of just yell into the void. And I talk about like the problems of that week, like the ridiculous shit that was going on. Like this is like height of like COVID, height of everything, like post January 6th, like pure insanity going on and just everything. So, and then I would have like one of my drunk girlfriends come on and we'd bitch about something. And I'm trying to get that started back up, but that involves unpacking and setting up. So
Yeah.
currently
You gotta get that motivation. I'll come over and help you out.
please, I will fly you out. I'll spend my savings to have someone organize my apartment for me.
Hell yeah, that would be fun. So you're in New York City. So when COVID happened, did you find that there were a lot of people who felt the same way you did, or did a lot of people fall in line? Because we're in California, but we're way north, as we've said a million times. We're not in LA. So we had a lot of people who were very opposed to COVID or the vaccines or just the narrative in general. They were just like, fuck this. I'm not listening to CNN. I don't give a fuck. But in New York, what we were seeing was that everyone was like, we have to get the vaccine and this is really important. Everyone's dying. Was that really true? Was that happening?
So yes and no. It depends because like when you look at New York City, it's the blue parts are only like the parts of Brooklyn where I live and like next to me and like Manhattan. Like everything else is kind of skewed more red. And so if depends on where you go. Like if I'm talking to like if I was like talking to like my super LGBTQIA like politically correct friends like in Williamsburg or Greenpoint, they'd be like, you have to get the vax, you have to get all the shots, you have to do this. I love the mandates. And then I had friends, like I have an old friend from high school who was a nurse and she was like against it. She was like, I don't want to fucking take this. Like I don't want this in my body. Like I'm being forced to do this to continue like my nursing program. Like she was just finishing college. They were threatening to kick her out of school and like for her to like lose her like residentship or something. And so it's kind of like a mixed thing. I mean, just because the crowd I surround myself with, like sometimes it is similar ideas. Like you do like the little like outliers here find each other. Like my ex was super against it. Like when we were living together and stuff, like super against it. Definitely not for it. Hated the mandates, all that. Found like was constantly researching all like the myocarditis cases, all the like vaccine deaths, which I don't want to call them vaccine deaths, but they are. And yeah, I was like trying to always pull up new sources just in case. It was kind of like a mixed thing. Like a lot of people did fall in line though. Like a lot of people were like, I'm so happy businesses have to check now. Like I got my shots like months ago and they weren't giving us money for it, like and stuff like that. Which in New York, they were giving you money and like free Shake Shack and free like Mets tickets and Yankees tickets to get the vaccine. I was trying to hold out till they're giving you like property in the Hamptons. I was really hoping they were going to like start giving out like houses in Long Island. I'm like, then maybe I'll take it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, give me my own island. Yeah, stick it.
Our friend got
Literally.
a vaccine because her company offered $200 and she didn't want to wear a mask anymore at work. She didn't care. She was very indifferent to the COVID, the vaccine, all of it. She wasn't on board with it. She wasn't afraid of it, but she was like, I hate wearing a mask at work, so I'm just going to get it. They're going to give me $200. And they were giving out what? Krispy Kremes. What
Yeah,
else were they
donuts,
giving
lotto
away?
tickets.
A lot of really
fucking-
healthy things.
yeah,
McDonald's,
good things for your health.
money, lottery tickets.
So it
yeah.
seemed weird at the time, but now to look back on that, it's so fucking wild that they were like, you should be healthy and get the vax. Here's a donut. Like how
Like,
fucking
here's like a burger. Here's like a Big Mac. Like we're
Here's
telling you to
everything
be
that our
healthy.
I say no to. Yeah.
yeah.
And even though people who are more like they're heavy set, they're obese, they're gonna get COVID and it's gonna affect them 10 times worse than if it's like a person like maybe I'm not the healthiest human being, like I probably don't have the healthiest habits, but like I can walk up a flight of stairs without like losing my breath. So yeah, like, make me take the vaccine and shove Shake down my throat. One of the funniest videos that came out was Bill de Blasio, our old mayor, like literally eating like fries. And he's like, I just got my second shot. And he's like eating fries. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what circus am I watching right now? Like, why is this being broadcast on every television where I walk into? Like, why is this? What is this? It was insanity to me.
Yeah. And like I said, it seemed weird at the time to most of us who were kind of keeping tabs on this going,
yeah,
this is fucking bizarre. But now to think about, like, I would recommend people go find your lefty friends that got vaccinated and go remind them about that and be like, you remember that 2 years ago when they're giving you a fucking donut to be healthy and stick this needle in your arm? You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah,
No?
and then we were the crazy ones because we weren't doing it.
Right.
Like they made
Yeah.
it, they demonized everyone who didn't do it, and then tempted everybody with donuts and burgers and money and lottery tickets. And those things are not great for you. And the same people who would definitely condemn those things were like
Yeah.
rushing, first in line. Please give me this shot in my lotto ticket. Thank you.
In New York, it was wild because what it was the people, it was the black like communities like didn't want to get vaccinated. Like black communities very distrustful of our government, whatever, like following like the Tuskegee experiment. That's just like the number one thing off the top of my head, just not for it. So the same people who were first supporting Black Lives Matter were then demonizing all the African American communities who did not want to get the vaccine. So
Right.
your wires got crossed there a little bit. Like, yeah, you're saying Black Lives Matter, but no, only if they're vaccinated. If you're unvaxxed, like you're a piece of shit. Like, fuck you, don't come into my business. I don't want to talk to you. So it was just like, it's insane to me like that. But even before like all the vax mandates came out, people were going wild in New York. Like I was wearing a mask when I had to. Like when it first started, I was like a little paranoid. I didn't really know what was going on. Then about 2 weeks into it, we realized like we were like, oh, like this is just like the flu. Like we're gonna be okay. Like if we catch it, like we'll be okay. Like me and my friends and like stuff. But I've seen people to this day still double mask outside.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or in their car alone.
In their car,
We
yeah.
still see that here.
In the car alone. What is that? You're sitting in a car by yourself. Why are you masked up?
That is
Yeah,
natural selection waiting to
Crazy.
happen.
It's a big brain
Yeah.
move, is what it
No,
is.
it's Darwin Awards for sure, but it's ever since the CDC dropped the whole differentiation between vaxxed and unvaxxed. How have you? Is that made a difference over there? Like, are people more chill now because they're like, oh, government said that, that's fine now. Like,
Definitely since they lifted the mandate, people have been a little bit more chill. Like they're not really up your ass. Like some businesses still have the right to like some massage places. My friend wanted to go get a massage and didn't have her vax card and they didn't like let her go for her appointments, like stuff like
what
that.
kind of massage place
Oh.
was this?
Oh no, this is not a happy ending. I've been trying to find one that does happy endings for women though. I'm still
Golden showers.
obsessed with
Golden
it.
showers. You want that?
Just a happy ending for women. Like rub me down and then like fucking play with my pussy or something after.
You get this tall Asian man that's just like, yes, I touch you.
I will pick your bean.
That's extra $20. You like it's good for you.
You have boyfriend?
Obviously
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, clearly I'm here, so clearly not. Or he's not
No,
doing
I
his
have a
job.
tiny one. I don't need to know that. No. It's a small vibrator. A small one.
It's Asian size.
In my country,
Honey,
it's considered big.
Okay, thank you.
But I mean, depends on who you talk to. Like, I still know people who are like, oh, like we only want to do gatherings outside, and I don't feel comfortable like sitting like in a bar or like going like to a restaurant. Like those are now become the outliers. But 6 months ago, like 7 months ago, they were not the outliers. It was still like, okay, mask up, bring your vax card everywhere, like do what you have
Oh
to
my
do. Yeah, and it's
Fucking vax cards.
I still talk to people who tell me like I'm still suffering like from long COVID. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean long? What the fuck does that mean? Like, what? I'm sorry, maybe you're hungover, maybe you're not eating right, maybe like maybe you don't get enough exercise. Like, what does long COVID mean? Maybe you're just sick with something else. Like I hear that a lot. That and the COVID brain. I hear people talk about COVID brain in New York, how they got sick and they have COVID brain now, which
Because that's in the news. So the news is putting those stories out where the long-term effects of COVID actually affect your brain. So they want people to read that and be like, oh, I'm not crazy and retarded.
It's just COVID.
It's just COVID.
It's just COVID.
No, they
2
want
years
people
later.
to think that so they don't think it's long-term consequences of the vaccine.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's what Mike Adams said. It's anything but vaccines. All these myocarditis. I think we just talked about this, but all these myocarditis, all these different things.
Heart
it's
attack,
like
strokes.
Definitely not the vaccine, though. It's just this weird uptick in these strange diseases. You know, shit happens,
young men who were athletes are now have heart problems all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Like, please tell me how that.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't remember her name. It was the nurse practitioner from the Mayo Clinic over in. We had her on the podcast. This was probably year and a half ago, and it was in one of those kind of Union of the Unwanted settings where we had the kind of a shit show going on, and she was talking about how she was the one administering vaccines, And she said that it was insane how much she fought with her conscience about this, because she would have these people coming in to get vaccinated 100% healthy. And then within that next week, they were coming back with issues that they, by all accounts, at their age and their health, should not have happened.
No.
And she was like, I was this close to blowing the whistle, and it would have ended my entire career, because she was a nurse practitioner. She's a doctor without the doctor's pay, basically. And she's like, I would have these people come in, and I wasn't allowed to tell them, because they're fully healthy. I wasn't allowed to tell them, like, hey, by the way, this might be a bad idea. I've seen a lot of people come back with some major shit on their plate, and I think it's because of these. She wasn't allowed to say that. I don't know if she ended up doing anything about it, but at the time that we had talked to her, again, this was probably within the first year of the madness, she was really conflicted about it. And of course, all of us were like, you know, not just focusing on her moral dilemma, but the raw facts that she was telling us about, like, there's no way it's not the vaccine. These people are coming in their prime, in their younger years, fully healthy. Like, if they came in for a sports physical or trying to get into the military, it would be all green lights, thumbs up. And then within the week after, they would be coming back. After the day or two that you're supposed to take off work for shedding and all of this other stuff after getting the vaccine, they would come back after that. Like,
that's like, it's
terrifying. It was absolutely horrifying. And it was
scary.
one of those things where I'm like, I kind of hope I get it. Like, I'm sorry. Our parents had chicken pox parties when we were kids, and my mom fucking did that. We had an asshole 4-year-old in our church that got chicken pox, and she brought him over to play, and we had no fucking idea. And by the end of the week, all of us had chicken pox. We're like, Mom, that's fucked up, man. Like, what'd you do? And then after we got over, it's like, oh, I get it. I kind of wish I had the Rona, knock on wood, because then that whole immunity thing, like, your natural immunity is built so much heavier than any kind of vaccine, as long as you survive through it.
Conspiracy theory. That's totally a conspiracy theory.
I know.
No doctor has ever proven that.
What's going on? Hey, Ben.
Yeah, there's been no studies into this.
Were you at the riots on January 6th? Yeah, like, it sounds like someone who went to the Capitol on January 6th. You sound like
a Trump supporter.
I watched the riots on January 6th because I wanted to see what would happen, and I couldn't believe how nothing was happening. I was watching it live, and I'm like, oh, nothing's going on. And the reporters were just going crazy. Like, look at all these terrorists storming the Capitol. And I was like, whoa, no one's doing that. How weird. It was so strange to watch that happening in real time. So now that we've seen all this shit happen, COVID, January 6th, just the shit show of the presidency, everything, it's so hard to believe anything at all. Yeah. And I hate it because I would like to. I mean, that would be nice, but I just don't. I think that there's no way that I can believe anything that they say, because all they want us to believe is what they want us to believe. And it could be true or it might not. It doesn't matter. They just want to guide us on this path. So it's bullshit.
I feel like just everything, like, I think it started off just with, like, the whole, like, the media. Like, I always knew the media lied to us. I didn't realize how bad it was until, like, COVID hit, and then, like, our recent election and all that. And I think that just became, like, I feel like I'm crazy and I'm also jaded. Like, I'm crazy in the sense where I'm speaking about this and people look at me sometimes like I have 3 heads. Like, sometimes I'll bring this up to, like, people in New York, and they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you need to go see a doctor. Like, no. Like, they're not lying to you. Like, you need to trust CNN. You have to, like, listen to MSNBC. The other ones are bad and stuff. And, like, I just feel like I've gotten so jaded where, like, I'll read something, even, like, the stupid little feel-good stories in the news that I'll read, like, 7-year-old, like, has a lemonade stand to raise money for, like, a prosthetic leg. I'm like, that's not a feel-good story. Like, that should never, like, why are we highlighting the fact that a 7-year-old has to pay for his own prosthetic leg because his parents lost their jobs, or because they refused to get the vaccine, or something happened, or his parents are on disability, can't afford. Like, it's anything time I read something, it just, like, makes my blood boil. Like, whether it's, like, a good thing or a bad thing. Like,
is that by design too, though? You know what I mean? Like, do that kind of reaction. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff we get pissed about in this community might be by design too, just, you know, further divisiveness and shit. And so it's hard to be like, actually neutral, because you do have your feelings on either side of things, but to actually be like, no, I'm not going to get mad about these stupid people that want to wear their mask in their car by themselves, like, whatever. Just like, just let that go. I'm going to make fun of it, but I'm not going to get pissed about it because that's what they want.
I think at this point we have to give up on certain people, and not in a shitty way.
We've
not
said that
like
a lot lately.
yeah. It's just
No,
like
yeah, I agree.
let them do their own thing, and it's this. It can that same template can be applied for anything. Like if you have a certain idea about something and someone doesn't share that, it doesn't really matter whether it has to do with COVID or masking. It could be, I don't even know whether you like pickles or not. I think they're fucking gross. Some people like them, but whatever. That's fine. I can let them do their thing and not worry about it because it
will
has
let me
nothing
eat
to
pickles. I will
I
not
do.
stop.
It's gross,
Fuck,
but it's
stop.
fine.
Best couples. Someone doesn't like pickles, the other person does, because then you get all their extra pickles. It's great.
Oh, no,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I drink the pickle juice. She won't touch
Oh,
it. So I get to
I
drink all
love
the
pickle juice. I love just right out of
You
the
know that
jar.
a shot of
Clean-
pickle juice
cleans you
on
out.
a hangover is magical?
It's magical. Yep, it's really good. It's like it
Ooh, I would
rehydrates
say
you.
that.
There's something in it, like
Well,
with the
all
vinegar, whatever
salt.
they do.
I was going to say it's all the salt and vinegar because you're depleted, and this is also assuming that you drink water because you just dehydrated the fuck out of yourself. If you're drinking water and you take a shot of pickle juice, or a double shot is also on the table. The sodium. I was actually just explaining this to my fiance earlier. I was like, I figured out all my work problems. I work in a hot oven of a shop, usually about 10 hours a day, and right now for where we're at in California, it's just fucking pissy shit heat. I hate it. But I told her, I was struggling with the heat, but it didn't seem to be from hydration. And now that Gatorade and Powerade, not like in the 90s, is just all sugar, I was like, I try to stay away from that because sugar is gross and it ends up making you crash. And that's sunflower seeds because of the salt in it. I started eating sunflower seeds while I hydrated, and it fixed everything. This is also a horrible case that I'll get home from being so hydrated. I've pumped out salt out of my pores that when I go like this, you can actually see this nasty yellow salt crystals all over my fingers. It's super attractive.
Yeah, no, I get them under my eye, dude. That's crazy. I get like
salt
that's
like this
thing?
under my eye. You go like this, and
Holy shit, that's a thing?
Yes, and when I was a runner,
Yes, so.
you
Feels
run,
like sand.
you sweat it all out. And when you stop, the breeze dries off the sweat, the actual moisture. And so when I would run, I could go like this down my arm, and on the inside of my hand, right here, would just be nothing but a lining of like yellow and white salt crystals that gets pushed out of your pores. So this was happening every day, where I'm basically changing the oil every day on my body, and I would start by about 2:00 in the afternoon. Start to feel fatigued. When you get close to heat exhaustion, you actually get goosebumps at high temperatures as it tries to cool you down. And so I started realizing that if I started eating sunflower seeds along with hydrating, it would do the same thing. I don't remember how that started with what we were talking about in our conversation. I was going to correlate it, but I fucking lost it. So
no, we go off the rails. It happens, and we just move on. But yeah, hydration is important. People, make sure you hydrate.
And there is
pickle
Gatorade
juice.
Zero. And
pickle juice. That's
Pickle
what it was.
juice. Yeah,
Stop
Oh, yeah,
drinking
the vinegar
soda and just have some
Yeah.
water.
Absolutely.
it's really not that
Absolutely.
difficult. Like
or
when
even
people are like,
sparkling water.
I don't know how to eat healthy as they're in the line at McDonald's and shit. It's like, start with that. Just start
Yeah,
right
Start by
there.
not going there.
just
Don't go
walk out of there. Maybe walk out of that.
Yeah.
Don't order the McDouble or whatever the fuck they have. Just start.
Why are you going to
start slow.
McDonald's to begin with?
True.
No, it's
True.
not even food. It's not real food. That's what
It's
people
not.
have to remember to tell themselves. You're not
No,
eating real
I
food.
eat it and I feel like shit right afterwards. Like I
Absolutely.
know
Right.
that what I'm putting in my body is poison. I know that whatever McDouble, like hash brown, whatever the fuck I'm having, it's poison going right into my body. There's no nutrients. I'm not getting any
Well,
sustenance from it.
You've seen those time lapse videos, right? Where they take all of the different burgers from different national burger joints. They put a camera on it and they do a time lapse of 30 days, seeing which ones
Yeah.
degrade the fastest. McDonald's lasted 45 days before it got
Oh
a
yeah,
spot
they did
of
that on
mold
Super
on it.
Size Me.
That's fucking
I'm
gross.
like, dude,
McDonald's, yeah,
that's-
you could
your
just leave it in
body's
your
trying to
car.
break that down in 8 hours for a massive poopy the next day. You know how hard
I
it's
don't
having
think the
to work for that?
McDonald's one actually went bad at all. In Super Size Me,
Probably
they
Really
not.
showed.
good.
Well, no, he showed. So he took a burger
It doesn't
from
go bad.
like a local burger joint, like a
Yeah.
local place, and then he took one from like kind of a food chain, but it was a little more localized, and then McDonald's. And obviously the local burger joint burger went bad within like 3 days. The other one went bad within 4 or 5 days, and the McDonald's one was like going strong like after 30 days. Like there was nothing,
Yeah, it's
no
like
change
Twinkies.
to the
It's like-
burger or the fries.
Stock up on your Mickey D's and Twinkies if we're gonna have a meteor hit or some shit. 'Cause you
Yeah,
wanna
I've
keep
heard that
the
McDonald's
base in
just doesn't go bad. Like their burgers,
Well,
like
they
they don't go bad. I don't like
Because they're
ever.
not meat. They're
They're
not
not.
food.
It's not
It's not fucking food. It's like when you go to buy
So I
Kraft
don't-
singles, the pack of Kraft singles at the grocery
yeah.
store. It literally
soft-
says imitation
plastic.
process pasteurized cheese food.
Fancy.
It's like
It's
cheese
cheese
product.
food.
When
Yeah,
I
it's
see
cheese
pasteurized
product.
cheese product written on something, I cringe. Like I cringe.
Ugh.
And don't get me wrong, I'll still eat garbage. Like I'm not the healthiest
Me
eater,
too.
but like I
Sure.
look at it and I'm like, you're literally just putting in poison in your body. Like you just
Well,
at this point, like
So that's the difference. That's what I was talking about. Those people that realize what they're eating. Like I'm well aware this Keystone Light is horrible. Gonna drink it, but I'm
Put
not
it in your
deluded
body.
enough to be like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I feel so shitty today? I know
Exactly.
why. I'm not
And
stupid.
yeah, we'll get like El Delicioso and get some rolled
Oh, yeah.
tacos, and I know it's bullshit. Like I know
Yeah.
it's crappy
Hey,
food.
Local
tastes
taco
so
joints aren't as
good, though.
bad as like Taco Bell, though. At
Yeah,
least
it's
you know
not
that.
Taco Bell, but
But like the people that
we'll
are
get Jack
that are
in the Box though. We'll get the curly
morbidly
fries or
obese.
Arby's.
Yeah, the people that are morbidly obese or have any kind of health problems, and they think that the answer is to just take that new pill the doctor came out with. Oh, that'll fix your high blood pressure. It's like awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna go to McDonald's now. It's like these are the people that I don't want to give up on them. I feel bad for them, but like,
Well,
if you don't
though.
see it now,
have you
like,
seen the ads though that they have on apps? Just on any
no,
app
but being
or any-
obese is healthy and beautiful now.
Oh,
I've been
and you have
taught.
to
right.
accept it.
Positive body image.
It's
You're
great.
right, Barbs. Positive
Lizzo
body
is the
image.
picture perfect of health. That's what I've been taught, and I'm actually unhealthy at my current size. Like that's what I've been taught.
Well,
So,
Right.
I don't know
You're
what
too
you guys
skinny.
are talking about. I'm too
No
skinny.
offense to your favorite platform there, but there's been a whole bunch of TikTokers that are like, if you don't find big is beautiful,
Yeah.
you are prejudiced in some way. And I
fat
saw
phobic.
this whole psychologist go,
Fat phobic. I was gonna say fat phobic. The amount of
Fat-phobic
times
or
someone has tried to call me as
whatever.
fat phobic because I truly like someone with like the people I don't feel bad for is if you're in your 20s and you have type 2 diabetes, I don't feel bad for you. I'm sorry,
Nah.
you did that to yourself. If I see a kid with diabetes, like that's on the parents. That's child abuse. Maybe that kid should be removed from that home, placed somewhere else. Like I don't feel bad. If you did it to yourself, I do not feel bad.
Well,
You're not gonna
and
get sympathy.
speaking on the McDonald's kick, I don't remember how long ago it was, Joe. I think you would probably remember it. This guy decided to do a self-study where breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he ate McDonald's and he tried to do 30 days. Where
Yeah,
his
That
only
was
Supersize
Supersize
Me.
Me. That's what I was just talking about.
Like, isn't that
Supersize Me?
Oh, I don't know how I fucking missed that shit.
No,
This is
recently
like
there's
the
a dude,
movie.
there's a dude that did Taco Bell recently. Every single meal is at Taco Bell. I don't even know if he's done with it yet, but he
He
was
alive?
serious about eating Taco Bell every day to help improve his health. This has to be some PR thing for his TikTok channel or something.
Wait, how would it
But-
improve his health? What were his reasons for thinking that it would in the first place?
It was an experiment. He's like, I want to see if I can eat only Taco Bell and improve my health. And he's done like blood tests and all that shit during the whole
Is
month.
he
or
retarded?
whatever.
The answer is definitely no. I don't have to do that to know that the answer is definitely
No,
not.
by that point, he's just shitting cat food.
I was gonna say, have it one time and you'll see how healthy you feel afterwards.
You know what's,
It's not a
you know what's
tumor.
interesting about that, though, is that other countries with those national American food chains do not load up the ingredients the way that Americans do. When I went to Russia, I went into McDonald's and it was awesome because not
McDonald's
only
in Europe is delicious. McDonald's in Europe is
it
fucking
tasted
delicious,
real.
man.
Like it tasted like you were getting a real burger. And when you go up there and ask it, and I'm like, I'm thinking it's McDonald's. So I'm like, oh, cool, a hockey puck on bread like shit. And I asked for I don't remember what it was. They brought it out to me, and you know how like it was always a complaint. They never look like what they do in the pictures or on the commercials, where it's falling out the back while they take a bite of it and shit. It was like, no, it actually looked like what they had up on the screen. The burgers were bigger, they were thicker, they looked real. I don't know if they were or not, but it also didn't fuck with my gut as much as they did in America. I'm like,
the McChickens I've eaten in like France and Poland, and like when I've traveled, like my go-to is always like a McChicken at an airport. Like if I can score like in European airport, they don't like give me like the shits the way if I go get a McChicken right now, 20 minutes later, I can't leave my bathroom. It's I literally it's wild. They don't like, and a lot of the food dyes we use, I know like blue something and red something is banned in a lot of European countries, like in their cereals. Like they don't have the
Red
fun
40
sugary
probably.
cereals. Whenever I go travel to see my grandparents when I was younger, I'm Polish, Ukrainian. So my mother would ship me away for the summers to my grandma's. And I'd always complain that the cereals were really gross because I wasn't eating Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. I was like, they're making me eat like oatmeal every morning. I can't put sugar on it and stuff. Like, I was like, I
salted
thought
butter and brown sugar, and that's it.
that's
See, that's
it.
what's funny. The only way to eat oatmeal is with a load of like maple syrup or brown sugar or something, and then you're just defeating the purpose of it. And I've always said that's God's cruel joke. It's like, oh, here's a very healthy breakfast. The only way it's going to taste good is if you fuck it up. Otherwise, it's going to taste like horse food, which it is.
It is
Still good for you though.
If you put agave in it, it kind of cuts down on the sugar. Like if you have just
or
like
honey.
blue agave, just like or honey. I was gonna say that's the other one, just like a little like drop of that. But yeah, man, if we're gonna talk about like if we're trying to get healthy in this country, just look at what we eat. Like from what we eat. Like I was a Kraft kid single. Like I was drinking Kool-Aid when I was younger. Capri
Bologna.
Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Capri
The
Sun.
packets for 10 cents and 3 cups of fucking sugar, and you were like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for a poor single mom, man, that's what she was doing. Like the Crystal Light lemonade, like the Crystal Light lemonade mixes and stuff like that.
Well,
like,
and my mom was on the other side of that. She had 5 kids, and she was a stay-at-home mom. So I'm the youngest of 5. Joe's the 4th, and then it goes up from there. Our oldest brother's 46, right? So it wasn't that it was the other way of not having money because it wasn't a 2-parent home and your mom had to do what she could to support the family. It was that there was 6 of us living at home outside of my dad.
Thin. It was
and my dad
so thin.
Yeah, he would work 9-10 hours a day and then take painting jobs afterwards just to try to get ahead of stuff. And later on in life, obviously, we all, totally understood, appreciated, and respected it. But my mom was also not and is not a good cook, period. She literally would do the same
Tell her that
meals
though.
every week with like 1 or 2 variations of the same. And whenever she learned how to do something new, it was like that would all we would eat for quite a while. So yeah, it was that same thing though. It was like the Kraft singles. I still remember that. I still remember getting meat, cheese, just what was it? We didn't do Miracle Whip. We actually did mayo, but it was mayonnaise. Oh, hi, Kitty.
Hi, sorry about that.
Mayonnaise, mustard, and then it was bologna with a Kraft single. That was it. I still remember eating those, and I still have an affinity for them on like Wonder Bread. And now
because
looking
you
back
remember
at it,
it like fondly.
Yeah,
I couldn't eat
Only because I won't
bologna.
do it
I
again.
couldn't eat bologna for years after my childhood.
I'm so sorry. This is actually her apartment, and I live here. This is hers.
Well,
I
I mean,
apologize.
you were talking about when you messaged me before the show. Yeah, she barfed on your bed, right? So that's cool.
Right on
our
the
dog
comforter.
barfed on the couch. The cats barf wherever the fuck they
No,
want.
our cat
Oh, yeah.
a couple weeks ago, our cat, if he's scared while he's in the litter box, he'll run out of the litter box and
And
shit
then
on
it just
the bed.
flies out everywhere. It's on the walls, everywhere.
He runs out of the litter box before shitting and will shit on the nearest bed. So he found my daughter's bed. He's shit on our bed before too. He shit in this, and he always shits in the center. It's always dead center. Like he knows. He's like, bitch, I know you're gonna have to clean this up, motherfucker. Because if I walk past the litter box, he's afraid. Then he just runs. He shit on my daughter's bed, and I had to wash all of her sheets.
No, they just do what they want. My cat's come into the show before
They
too.
do.
He makes his debut.
We're their
appearance.
pets.
Yeah.
Where we are. The other one, he doesn't know how to bury his shit in the litter box. So sometimes you'll walk into the bathroom and the bathroom will be perfectly clean and it smells like a nuclear bomb went off in there. And I'll be like, wonderful. You don't know how to cover up your own shit in the litter box. This is lovely.
Have you tried Pretty Litter? I'm not doing an ad for Pretty Litter right now, but
I've heard it's so good. I've heard so many people say they like it.
Give it a try.
Hey, I'll text you because I've subscribed to it because it literally takes away that smell of litter. It doesn't smell like shit and the pee disappears.
Because I do the litter box deodorizer, but that smells afterwards too. Like after 2 days, it's still.
There's no good
Dude, I'll
way
text you the link and you can get a free
shit.
bag and try it out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, fuck
The only thing that sucks is after the 30th day when you have to clean it out, because I just did this. It smells like the worst smell. It smells like human piss when you dump it, but it doesn't. But we have a cover on our litter box, so it doesn't smell like until you take it off. And as we were dumping it out, I was like, oh my God, it's so bad. But it doesn't smell your house up. It holds in there. So
that's
worth it, in my opinion.
I was gonna say, living in like a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 cats, it's always smells like cat. Thank God. I have no visitors. Thank God I have like no visitors. Like no one's interested in coming over, like male or female. Like good, because they would come in, they'd smell, be like, "This is an animal shelter. I'm leaving." They'd be like, "This woman lives
Right?
in like an
Oh,
animal
this is a
shelter."
500-pound hoarder.
She's the
Okay.
crazy cat
Yeah.
lady.
She's the other night I was bartending and literally some guy after I make him a drink, he goes, "So many cats you have?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "How many cats do you have?" I'm like, "How did you know?" And he's like, you seem like the type." And I'm like, "What gave it away, man?" Like, I have,
It's like
I
an
have
insult.
2 for the record. I have 2 for the record. And I'm not
He's
at
like,
3
you have
yet.
fur all over your uniform right now.
All over your apron, just all over the black
Yeah.
apron. There's just hair, actually.
Yo, I
What
leave the
happened?
house
You
with
do
so
too.
much
No.
fucking hair on me between mine, hers, the pets, probably my kids. I don't know, but I leave
Yeah.
the house every day with so much fucking hair
2
on me.
cats and a dog, and
I don't
your
realize it
hair.
anymore.
Your hair is all over the bathroom.
I know it's in the
It's
brush.
everywhere.
It's fucking
It's on the
everywhere.
Both of you
floor.
have long hair. Both of you have long hair, so it's gonna get everywhere.
Yeah, but my hair's
fucking-
not real. My hair's extensions. It doesn't fall out the same way his does.
No, mine's
Well, that's
real.
very
It's falls
pretty.
out.
I wouldn't have guessed. It's very nice
Oh.
attentions.
Thanks. But yeah,
It's a weave.
his hair's in everything. It's everywhere.
Anyway, we got off the rails
Yeah,
on that.
sorry
What the
guys.
fuck?
Yeah, whatever. We're just being weird.
So no, I actually like where that was going though with the health thing. So it's really
Yeah,
hard for people to even realize that that's happening or that it's by design, which is my conspiracy brain. But like people are so
Oh no,
hooked
100%. It's by
to fast
design.
food, and that feeds like every time somebody tries to be like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist about this," it's like, okay, this is going to take like 3 hours because there's so much backstory to all this stuff. Like, it's not just big pharma's there for the money. That's part of it, sure.
Of course.
But the reason they exist is because of how we live our lives in the shit food and the shit water and all this whatever's sprayed in the air. That all works in tandem to
Of course.
create a problem so that they have an answer for it. And then you buy that, and then that
And then
so
they
we
goes
feel
into
like
the
they're our
insurance company.
savior.
It's
Yeah.
just a vicious
Yeah.
fucking cycle. So to try to like, that's why I'm talking about giving up on people because I'm like, I don't have the time to say these things all the time
and
every
honestly,
day.
it's comfortable for them. Let them do it. It's fine.
You could talk to your blue in the face. Some people are just not going to understand it. Like you're, because if you take a look at like me, for example, or just like anyone who works like a job on their feet, like you're working a job on your feet or a manual physical labor job or something like that, and you're a single person or you're a parent and something. After working those 8 or 10 hours, you don't want to go home or go to the grocery store, spend $150 on a few vegetables because of fucking inflation prices now and everything they're trying to do. And if you want to eat it organic, yeah, forget about it. Like literally take out a loan. In New York, if you want to eat organic, like, take out like a personal loan. And like, so I'm going to stop at the taco truck or I'm going to stop at the deli. And maybe I will like get the unhealthy. Like, I'll usually try to go with like a grilled chicken, but then I'll have like the grease and the cheese and everything in there. I'm like, because this is easier for me. Like I can pick up like a can of cat food for the cats and get myself a sandwich or get myself some chicken fingers. And yeah, it's going to make me feel like shit. But now when I go home, I don't have to cook and then clean the kitchen, even if it's just for myself. And if I had a kid, I'd be like, yeah, I have to now go home and I'm responsible for feeding another human. Yet I just
Right.
worked 10 hours. Like I'm covered in
That
booze
really
from head to
sucks.
toe. I was going to say, you guys are
for other humans is fucking awful. I don't recommend it to anybody.
you guys are brave because being a parent nowadays, you guys are very brave to do it.
Yeah, my daughter's 16. It's amazing she's still alive.
Holy shit, you have a 16-year-old daughter? Like I thought, what?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful. She's I love her so much. She's so smart, but so ungrateful. Like I was such a bitch when I was 16, and it just all comes back now. I'm like, oh, I 100% deserve all of this treatment that she's giving me. I did this to
That's
my
the
parents. I
karma.
didn't care about anything I had, and she's like, all you do is give me a roof over my head, and I'm like,
That's all.
after I spent $450 on her ass at Sephora for back to school shopping for makeup, I'm like, oh, you know what? I can't talk to you anymore until further notice. Thank you.
Oh, I had
Can you
a
adopt me. I'll pretend I'm 14. You guys want to adopt me? Spend $450 on me at Sephora, please.
Kids need so much.
I'm like
shit
scooping
now.
lipstick out with like my fingernail to put it on my lips. That's where I'm at.
That's what I do. I'm like a bargain shopper, but she's like, I only need like fancy shit. So sorry.
No,
got good
that'll
fun.
change real quick once she figures out that she literally has to pay for everything. Like she wants to get out of this house so fucking bad.
She does.
But I told her already. I'm like, she will leave, and 3 days later be like, fuck, I've made a mistake.
I did that
Like,
too.
oh my God.
I ran away when I was 16 and I was like, oh, like where I'm sleeping isn't that cool. Like sleeping on a friend's couch is not as awesome as sleeping in my own bed. And it didn't even cross my mind when I left my house. So
I mean, everybody
hope it happens
remembers
to her.
moving into
I
your
hope.
first apartment, maybe second or third, having a fucking mattress on the floor.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
So
what you had.
a bed frame is like a necessity. It's not a necessity. It's just
with a flat
It's
top
a
on it.
luxury.
Purely aesthetic, the bed frame. Otherwise, it's the same fucking thing. You're just closer to the ground. Who cares?
My daughter wanted some extra bathing suits this summer, and I was like, hey, I already bought you a bunch of bathing suits, so I'm not getting more. You can buy your own. So she told me recently, she said, when I'm older, I'm going to make sure I'm not too poor to buy some extra bathing suits because that would be alarming. And I'm like,
Make sure of
okay, have fun.
Have fun.
I wish.
Well, all of the bills that you don't pay, you're not thinking about, but that's fine.
I wish that kids these days lived in the 80s and 90s and realized pretty much everything you had was handed down either from somebody that you knew or somebody else in the family. And we all knew it was going to suck. If I got swim trunks from Joe, who's 4.5 years older than me, it was going to suck. I had to wear underwear because if they fell down, which was very likely, and you had to cinch them up, and half the time you had to fucking safety pin them together to make sure they fit. And then they would go down almost to your ankles. And it was like, these are way too big. Yeah, well, we can't afford more. And they're still in good condition. So this is what you're wearing. Like, Joe just got brand new ones. No, Joe got hand-me-downs from his older brother who's 14 years. Yeah, you think it sucks for you. It's like,
we're all the same size anyway. We can all wear each
I know
other's
you're all
shit.
5'5". Now you've all evened out. Everybody's 5'5".
yeah, now we all
That's
have 2
stupid.
foot tall legs and can interchange pants at will.
I've officially got
How
to
lucky
the
you
age
are.
where I've officially got to the age where I understand the old people that I made fun of when I was growing up, where I'm like, oh, kids these days, I've said those exact words and I fucking hate it. But
You're such an old man.
I
dude.
know, but I can't help
You're
it.
like, get off
the
my
kids
lawn.
these days-
No, I'm even worse. I'm 26 and I was working with a 21-year-old behind the bar last night, and I'm like, what the fuck does she know about making drinks? She's only 21. She's like some dumb college slut. It's like, that was you 5 years ago. You're not that old. Like sometimes I'm like a 40-year-old lady in my mind. Like I live up to the name Barbara, where I'm like this old, like really grouchy, like just like always bitter woman, like mad at the world. Like I'll see sometimes like 14-year-olds like just walking around Brooklyn head to toe in designer clothing with the newest iPhone, and I'm like, I just want to smack you. Like I just want your parents to smack you. Like your parents should have smacked you more like growing up. Like what is this? Like this is
Well, and there's 2 lines of thought with that, because I have that same exact feeling, and I think most of us do. But the idea is that it's very quickly like, you're just jealous that you didn't. No, it's not that. I don't give a fuck. I don't want those clothes anyway. It's the idea that you're 14 and you're getting handed designer clothes top to bottom, like you said, that some of us will never own one item of in our whole life because we fucking had to work for shit. It's like, you guys will never understand that value of $1 because everything is getting handed to you. And that goes back to what Jen was saying about Maddie. It's like, Maddie's 16 and Maddie is right in the middle of the age group of all the nieces and nephews that our family has. And our family's fucking huge. Like as it is, I'm the youngest and I got 3 kids.
Oh, so you're one of 5. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5. And it goes from me at almost 32 all the way up to our older brother who's almost 46. And my fiance is 36. She's right around the same age as Joe. We collectively, we have 3 kids together. I have 2, she has 1, and my oldest is going to be 10 this year. And I, from day one, have tried as hard as I can. And this is coming from the youngest, who is always being told, you're the most spoiled, you get the most things. And in a lot of ways, that
just in your case, you were the least spoiled in your whole family. But
yeah, no, I got shit does roll down
shit on
like a lot. But it was
so
one of those
uncommon,
things where it was like, had it not have been for the life, the exact way it went, and this is something that's very new for me. There's been a lot of fans that are of the show that have said, I love watching Ben's journey since he started the podcast, being able to talk to people. Lene was a huge influence in that. There was a time that I've mentioned before where there was a direct energy transfer from her hand into my fucking skull. I'd never experienced anything like that. I'm very redneck. I didn't believe in any of that shit. And for it to happen, it was undeniable. And I didn't talk about it for like a week because it rocked everything that I thought about in this whole vibrational universe. And then I started watching David Icke's thing on Escaping the Matrix. Then we had David Icke on, and then we talked to Sam Tripoli and like all of these different people. And it was like, holy fucking shit, man. Like I was missing out for 30 years. And as it is now, for the first time after turning 30, I tried shrooms. I was shroomed out last night. I'm still messing with a horrible gut today from eating the shrooms last night. But it's one of those things where I look at my kids now and I'm like, you will never, ever, and Joe says it frequently, my only job as your parent is to make sure that you don't fucking die. It's to make sure that you have food to eat, a place to sleep, and that I get you a good education on time. That's it. Other than that, you want extra stuff, you can work for it. Now, obviously, we all want the rainbows and the unicorns for our kids and all that, but it's like there's a certain point where you have to teach them, like, I'm sorry, you don't need that to be happy. So if you want it, you're going to get your fucking ass out there and work for it.
Mhm.
I was just explaining, we barbecued yesterday, and I was, because now I live, a quarter mile down the street. And I was explaining to him, I'm like, I'm really proud of my kid. I'm really proud that he spent so much time at 6, 7, and 8 years old trying to earn his money for everything that he has on his gaming system.
Oh, I love
And
that.
he did a very good job. Joe and Jen were very nice. They realized that Lonnie was going to be the only one that wasn't getting a Switch out of like all the cousins. And so Joe for Christmas got Lonnie a Switch. And he was like 5.5, and he was just overwhelmed. Well, he had been saving for like 8. He had been saving at 5 years old for like 8 months for a Switch, but he only had $61. So put up the rest of the money to get it. And we told him we're like $60 is what you need for your first game. So we'll give you a break, but you are going to spend that $60 that you saved. And he bought his first game, and he now has probably 12 games, some of which are deluxe editions, $100, and he earned all of his own money for it. And
That's
so
amazing.
when his Switch broke, I went, you know what, man? I'll replace your Switch because you've done excellent work. And I hope with all of my family and all of our, kids and stuff, that's something that they eventually grow into, where maybe it's that hard reality when they hit 18, they're like, fuck you, mom and dad, and they move out. I'm going to do shit on my own and join the military because I hate authority. It's like, yeah, how's that going to work out for you? And then they start to realize that, oh, fuck, I'm not going to get anywhere by riding coattails.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put a lot of elbow grease into this. And I think that it's always that comeback when you hit like your sometimes late teens, late 20s, sometimes even late 30s, where you start to go, oh, fuck, I get what my parents are saying. Fuck.
No, that's what I
admitting
tell
that.
Jen all the time. Like, we're going to lose our kids for a good 10 years or so, where they think they know what they're doing. They're going to go do their own thing. And I'm just going to be like, fucking figure it out. I did.
Have fun. Bye.
We both ran away.
I'm like slowly coming to that reality, like where I'm like, maybe everything my mother said wasn't just to annoy the fuck out of me. Like she was correct about a lot of things.
Oh
like,
yeah, you're 26. You're right in that realization state.
Yeah,
that's right around
like,
the time I was 25, 26. When you're like
you start to realize your own age doesn't have the excuses anymore that you could ride earlier, and you're like, all right, fine, hard realities. Yes, I was fucking wrong, or yes, they were right. Maybe I wasn't wrong, but they were right.
Yeah. It's like when someone said late 20s to me, like a few months ago, right after I turned 26, someone's like, oh, you're in your late 20s. And I was like, holy shit.
How
like,
dare you?
I was like, no. I'm like, no, that's like right though. I'm past the midway point. I'm like, I can't just say I'm like some dumb 20-year-old anymore. I can't just play it off. Like when I do something stupid, it's like, oh, I didn't know any better. Like I'm just like some dumb like 20-something year old. And I'm like, no, like you should know better.
Yeah.
Like you should know better. Like it's
we're all stupid though. Like it doesn't matter how old you are. Like I've met people that are in their 20s that are smarter than people that are in their 50s or 60s. Like it doesn't really, the age thing doesn't matter. It's how quick you catch on to this fucking game and realize that it's kind of skewed against you from the very start. And so you got to find a way to navigate around all this bullshit. And I still haven't figured it out. I don't fucking know, but I'm at least aware that it's a fucked up rigged game, and I'm gonna look into it a little bit and try to figure out how to win. But I don't think anybody wins really in the end. We all die. So, not to spoil the ending.
That is winning, though. Yeah. No, but that's the winning.
That might be
the winning part. I think that's the winning part.
That's very black.
I think when you die, I think something amazing happens. I don't think that it's like you die.
It's not just that, but regardless of when you die, whether it be reincarnation or anything like that, it's like, okay, but the life that you're living now how long does that stay in the history books? Whether it be with just your own family, it doesn't matter. Like, my whole goal in life is that when I die, which I'm fine with, it's going to happen. Like Joe said, it's sorry to spoil the ending. It's going to happen. But my idea is that I'm like, when I die, I want there to be something for my grandkids that are like, dude, let me tell my kids about grandpa. This guy was fucking amazing. He was off his fucking rocker, but it was so fun to talk to him. Like, you know, something like that where it gets handed down, where it's like there's a legacy or, you know, a legend about that. And I think that because that shapes history. I mean, we're still talking about shit that happened in the last, you know, however many years, of people that have been long dead and gone, people that never thought they would have notoriety of any sort for their accomplishments. And then we end up finding shit of a document that they wrote 150 years ago. And they're like, oh, fuck, we missed this. How did we miss this?
Because it was
then their
hidden
names
from
go down
us
in the
for
history
so
books.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's been happening a lot lately, where history is all a lie, and now we're seeing real history.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like the way, like, I would like, there's that quote, that stupid cheesy quote where it's like history is written by like the winners or something, where like every war you like read about, the victors, that's what it is or something. And I don't know, I like nowadays, like I don't even know what they like, what would they teach in like a social studies or like history class to kids, like in like our school system? Like, do they teach?
I don't even want to know.
Can you imagine
Like,
when
what
we're
is it?
on what they're going to say about the COVID pandemic and the Biden Trump election and how Trump just thought it was stolen and it was crazy?
Biden
Even though
was the most popular president.
We're not Biden or Trump supporters. We don't care about either one of them. But there is something weird about Biden. There was nothing great that Biden ever did to have so many people vote for him. More
Give him a
people
chance.
ever
He's only
in
been
history.
in there for 2.5 years.
But
But
it's
it's
like literally did what's wrong in our country for the past like 20 years, like the crime bills, the student loan bills, all of that. Like, it really goes back to Joe Biden. And this was like his third presidential run, I think, or like his fourth presidential run. His first run was in when Gore versus Bush. He was part of the primaries in like the late 1990s for the 2000 election. And he was like in last place. And so that was like his first presidential run. And when you look at Biden, it's hilarious to me that we're supposed to think this is like this man got the most votes in history. This man got more votes than the first African American president that we had in this country. Like he got more votes than Obama. We're gonna put him on a pedestal, yet he falls off his bike, can't speak into a microphone. Like his son is doing God knows
what. He shakes hands that aren't there.
He wasn't doing any of those things when he was elected. He had to come into presidency to show his face because nobody saw those things. Don't get me wrong. He still had tons of terrible qualities, like the fact that he's 100. He's an old person. Like, nobody would ever vote their grandpa into office. Like you don't
let your grandpa drive. You don't let grandpa drive like past a certain fucking hour. Yet we're going to put them in charge of our country.
Right. I was like, okay, so for your grandpa, when you're thinking about what nursing home you're going to put them in, would you also be like, well, maybe they could run the whole country too? I'm not sure. I doubt it. No.
Where's your home?
Are you in Oregon?
Are you in Oregon?
Well, it's always one or the other. Like either they keep their brain or they keep their body, and one or the other goes, or both. It's always one or the other though, because you eventually die. There was I mentioned on Facebook the other day that I watched a video of like a 99-year-old vet, some god awful number that I hope I never live to. That was a World War II veteran. And they had a conversation with him, and he was talking about the current climate. And he had this fucking chest full of medals, and he was in fucking tears. And he said, it was one of those old guys where you're like, oh, I bet you have to shit in a bag, but I kind of want to give you a hug. Like he was saying, he's like, yeah, just, oh, wow, that one came out of his penis. Like it was.
Wait. Do not go on. Hang on. Fuck, where is that one? Sorry to hold up the show, but I have to do this. Oh, motherfucker, where did I put that sound? Oh, there it is.
Needle farts.
Ow! That came out of my penis.
There we go.
Okay. So he was in tears though, and he said, you know, I think he was in the Pacific Theater, and he was saying, he was like, you know, when we fought on all these different islands and we're watching the horrendous things happening to everybody, both in the European theater and the Pacific Theater, we didn't realize that this was going to be our country. He was like, this is not the country that we fought for. If it was, we wouldn't have. And that really got into my head where I went, so you have these badasses that stormed like Normandy in Operation Overlord. They did all of this insane shit. Not even in our own country. We got attacked once, and it brought a world war where we jumped into it in countries that weren't ours, with hundreds of thousands of people dying, so we're told. And they were looking at it now that they're like, what fucking place am I living in? Like, this isn't what we fought for. And when he said, if it was, we wouldn't have, I'm like, that's fucking scary times. When you have people that are literally saying like, sorry, my country's not worth fighting for, you're in some shit. I'm sorry, you're in some shit when you get to that point.
It is. It's a scary point. Like, thinking about that, it's a scary point. It's like people who fought, like, gave their life on the line in this country now. Yeah. That's not the first time. I feel like I know what video you're talking about. Or maybe I've seen a similar video.
It just circulated real recently on social
Okay,
media.
so I feel like I might have watched it, and like I watched it halfway through or something, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, this man's right. This is depressing. Like what's happened, and just
well, and the idea is you look at heroes like that, and I know that that's a cliche term, calling people heroes just because they went on deployment and they survived and came back. But in reality, it's only because they don't feel like they're heroes because they survived. It's called survivor's guilt. And for a lot of people, that's very real. But to those of us who would not even be able to fathom what law enforcement, firefighters, EMS, military, what they go through. And it's not that they might be fighting a war or fighting for our freedom. It's the fact that they sacrificed 4 years to be a government puppet to say, I'm giving a couple years of my life back to serve a country that I appreciate. Okay, fair enough. To me, a lot of people can't do that. Like, we talk about not even being able to make it through boot camp, not because it'd be too hard, but just because we'd end up laughing in the drill sergeant's face and getting kicked out. That's Joe, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's my fiance for sure. But at the same time, it's like, but that's not the point. The point is that they sucked it up, they kept their mouth closed, and then they did 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, sometimes 20 to say, no, that's just my way of giving back in a small way. You got law enforcement and, you know, the rest of them that do the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty sad. I just saw an article yesterday. They can't get enough people to have what they consider the necessary size of volunteer force for our military. People are getting out. It means that, like, okay, so for instance, they did the draft in World War II and in Vietnam, right? They had to do that to boost the numbers to have a fighting force necessary. For the last 40, 50, 60 years, we haven't had to worry about that. If anything, they've turned people away at the entrance processing because they're looking for the cream of the crop. They don't need bodies. They need the top level bodies that can make it in for certain jobs. They're at a point right now where they're basically waiving things to take as many people as they can.
Oh, wow.
And they're still not having enough people to fill the ranks. That's a first in decades. And I'm like, that's terrifying.
Especially with, like, America has always had that image of, like, a strong military and, like, we're America, like, we're the world's police force and all that. And
Team America.
Yeah, I mean,
Team America.
And
fuck yeah.
And
I have that one too. I don't anymore.
Well, we've always been something that people model themselves after, whether it be the progressive ideologies, which in a lot of ways I agree with, because we've pulled in a long way. It's like the tip of the spear that everything else is attached to. It's all still attached. We're all still the human race. We're all still going towards progression in horrible things that we should have righted. Okay, that part I get, but the idea is that like Bill Maher, who back in the 90s was considered a bleeding heart liberal. And now the nutty left is looking at him like he's conservative. And he's like, no, I was literally in my 50s when I had that show in the 90s or in his 40s. And he's like, I assure you, my mindset has not changed. I am exactly the same. It's just my side of the aisle has gone off their fucking rocker.
It's moved,
Yeah, and it's that loud, squeaky wheel minority that ends up getting all the coverage, all of the flock of seagulls haircut, blue and pink fucking people on. No
I was gonna
TikTok,
say
who talk about
No, TikTok is a
all of this
cesspool of
shit.
mentally ill people. Like, I agree. Like, you.
Oh, that's why you're on
TikTok
there.
is 100%. Oh, 100%. I am playing right into the Chinese propaganda of what they're trying to do in this country. Just put up a bunch of TikTokers, like have them talk about their mental illness, fool other people that they have a mental illness as well. It's the best. But no.
Hey, you found your niche.
There we go. We all have to find our niche.
Yeah, niche.
But yeah,
niche.
it's always like it's that picture. Whenever I think of like a leftist, it's like that. Just like you see that generic image. It's like it's gonna sound horrible, like some fat woman with a bullnose ring and like blue short hair, shaved side of the head, probably like yelling with like armpit hair and stuff. And like that's
how she's gonna go on a sex strike, and you're like, okay, how long has that been going on?
I'm sure, yes. I'm sure everyone is affected by that, ma'am. Or it's not ma'am. I'm sorry. Can't say that. Like, I apologize.
They, them.
Step outside and I'll show you, ma'am.
Seriously. That's actually a bad habit I've had to
ma'am.
break. It's after living in Florida. Oh my God, that video of the it's ma'am and like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
The GameStop. It's like huge dude with like long it's ma'am.
He's all no sir. And he's like, it's ma'am. And he's like, okay,
Boner.
it's ma'am. And he's like, you step outside and I'll show you, ma'am. I'm all.
He's like, I'll show you my dick.
Like,
I'll
literally show you how big my balls are, actually.
I'll
Like,
show you what I affectionately call a clitosaurus.
And I'll still make you call me ma'am.
It looks like a moose knuckle, crazy enough.
Boner.
It's a boner. That's it.
It's a boner, guys. It's a dick joke.
That's all it is. But yeah, that's like a habit I've had to break ever since like moving from like when I lived in Florida for the past 7 months, and it was like North Florida. So like I got used to people calling me ma'am. In Flagler, right in between Daytona and Jacksonville.
I lived in Jacksonville.
Okay, that's the airport I usually fly into. I do like the Jacksonville airport. It's a cute little airport. I got my little wine bar in there and everything. I got my own wine bar. But I got used to like young kids calling me ma'am and saying sir and ma'am to everyone. And now in New York, I'm afraid to say ma'am because I'm like, what if someone or sir, what if someone flips out on me, even though they're presenting as a sir or ma'am? I'm gonna lose my job. My boss is gonna say I'm transphobic or some shit. I'm gonna get fired because my brain hasn't rewired from living in this health yet.
Yeah, just say dude. Everything is dude. I mean, you know, you
bro
can
or
call your own
dude.
right? Bro, dude. That's ambiguous, right? I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that shit is so unfair to look a different way than what your gender is, and then expect for someone
to know that.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Zemzer.
I had one of my cousins. My cousin got married, and she's gay. She got married to a girl, and one of the other guests at their wedding was a girl, but she was wearing a suit and had a top hat on. And I've told this story before on the show, but my grandparents were in their 70s at the time, or maybe early 80s. And they were talking to this person,
this thing.
And my grandfather said, well, it was very nice talking to you, young man. I've had a really good time. And they were like leaving. And she was like, I'm a girl, and got really super pissed at my grandparents and yelled at my grandparents for calling her a young man, and they were complimenting her. They were saying it was a good conversation. Nice.
Yeah, they were
right. They just misgendered her because she looked like a fucking dude. She was a chick with short hair, wearing a suit and a top hat. Right, talking to elderly people and expecting to still be called a chick. Fuck you, bitch. I wasn't there. I want to punch that girl in the fucking face.
100%. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're just being a dick at that point. Like, you're
right.
just being
exactly. You're just like, preying on other people. It's rude.
That is the fucking problem.
I feel like that happens.
It's like somebody going. It's like the whole thing. Like chicks go out half naked and they're like, I can't believe these people are staring at me. My eyes are right here. It's like, okay, you might not be a whore, but you are wearing the uniform of a whore. So why are you? No.
If I'm dressing half naked, you better be staring at me. If I'm getting ready to go out, I'm wearing a crop top.
We talked about
breathe. Like, I can't breathe. My skirt, my thongs on my. You better be fucking looking at me. You better be objectifying me.
Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah, it's a compliment at that point.
Clothes. So then you go out and you're like, I really hope people stare at me, and then they stare, and it's like, my eyes are up here, sir.
Like, oh my God, please leave me alone. I just wanted a nice night out.
It's like,
Barbs, you remember
So
when
you
that
weren't
guy was
taking your
on
tits out for
Abs in his six pack?
Yes.
Remember he called that guy and he's like, "What would you do if your daughter?" And I was like, "I would hope she'd feel good about it." And you and I both were like,
Yeah,
if someone complimented my ass, I would be like, "Thank you." I'd laugh and walk away.
I think
wouldn't.
Barb's her actual quote was, "If I go out and I'm dressed up and I don't get objectified, I'm failing my job. I feel like I
I
lost."
am. Like, I literally feel like shit at the end of
as
it.
a
need
Like,
them
girl, I
tips, man.
understand.
if
Yeah, you
I
want
walk
to
past a
be there.
construction site and not one person makes a comment, my
Right?
self-esteem is going to plummet that day.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put over my head.
Yo, I
Like,
walked down an entire block of construction, not one
Part of being a
fucking cat
girl.
call. I did
Literally.
something wrong.
Not one whistle
But
or hey
this
baby.
dude, the dude on Abs in his six pack was talking about how like that's just offensive and we should be offended. And I'm like, no, we kind of look forward to it just because it's like a little bit of validation. We don't
It's like a
need
little
it,
nice
but it's like,
compliment.
oh, thank you.
Catcalled. I've never been catcalled my whole fucking life. Like, how do you think I feel? Fuck you.
Oh,
guys.
really?
Oh, babe. Sorry.
Oh,
Your
I'm
ass
so
is
sorry.
really nice. Turn around and show the camera your ass.
Let's
No.
see that bubble butt.
Come
Like
on.
the actual
That's
butt?
Rajden's.
Yeah.
2
No,
foot
no,
tall
not your
leg
whole
with
ass.
Nice fixed
Just
bubble butt.
stand
Not
up
gonna
and
lie.
show the camera your ass.
Okay,
He has a nice ass.
it's you can't really tell.
Okay, I'm gonna turn away.
Yeah, I can't see shit.
Ben,
Well,
you
and
can
the
look
funny
now.
part is that clearly people
Nice.
like Jen's butt. That's why her butt is featured on the graphics on their green
Prominently.
screen.
Hey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the
I love
pooper on
that.
that trooper.
That is a nice ass. I was like, oh, that's your ass. That's a nice ass.
It is. It was modeled after.
That's a
it,
nice
right?
yoga ass
It's
right
way
there.
bigger than my actual ass is, but I love the ass in the picture. I'm a fan of it.
I would like to see
It's
though
a-
the guy, the gentleman who awesomely drew that. I would love to see him being like, hey, how am I going to draw her butt?
That's Bags.
Bags
AKA,
draws.
I won't say his real name. I don't know if he wants that out there, but
Yeah, he
Bags.
draws for OBDM.
He's actually drawn a new one for us. It's a totem pole of a bat with our faces on it. It's fucking dope. I
Oh,
can't wait. to
great.
Well,
see
that's
it.
gotta be cool.
Please tell him ahead of time that my hair is blonde.
He knows. He watches the
Oh,
show.
okay, great. Because I have fucking dark hair in that one anyway.
So
It's a
actually, the
cartoon,
picture of you,
dude.
Ben, that he drew on the totem pole, it looks exactly like you.
Oh, no.
He did a perfect description of your face.
So
Okay.
you probably have blonde hair in it. You have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any color in
Actually,
it yet, but
yeah, let me
let's see. Let's see if it's
see.
dark. Oh no, he can make my hair dark
No,
and
he
make
did make
Ben's
it.
hair blonde.
He did make it blondish.
Woo!
Sorry.
Well, I
It
was
actually
going to say,
does
it's,
look kind of like you too.
That's
Oh, you can't
really,
really see.
no,
I
that's
can
not
see it. No,
doing
no, that's
anything.
I was gonna
I'll
say,
wow, I look like a shot
You're
of
like, look at
drug.
this white screen. Do you see?
look at this reflection, like of my camera on this screen. now.
It never works out. I
It
don't know
looks like
even
one of
why
those
I
pictures that you stare at for 60 seconds and then close your eyes and see another image.
there we go. Yeah. Anyway, this probably closes out the show. We've gone off
Yeah.
the rails enough. But Barbs,
Sorry,
thanks so much
my
for coming on.
ADHD just takes every conversation
Me too.
off the
Are you
rails.
kidding? This is how our show goes.
Yeah,
if you've
no,
never
we're
listened to the
not.
show, this is how it goes.
No,
Well,
I
this is
have,
fun,
but like
and this is
sometimes you guys
exactly
have
what
like,
we
you
do.
have real conversations, like you have real in-depth conversations with
That's
guests.
not my
and
favorite
stuff.
one, though. This is a real conversation with somebody
Oh.
we've never met. It's awesome.
So yeah, sometimes we have guests on who like study a certain topic and we let them go on and on and on about that. But when we have someone on who's just like a fellow truth seeker who's just living their life, like what you're doing, like we're
Yeah.
just
Well, thank
we're just
you, I
doing
appreciate
shit.
it.
That makes it really fun because then we can just talk about anything we want. So it's actually
Mhm.
really cool.
So before we get out of here, though, let everyone know where they can find you. I know it's basically just TikTok because I
I
I
usually
followed
put
you
up-
on TikTok. I just
usually put up
I
ads
downloaded
for
Oh, I
TikTok.
the live
So I gotta
shows on
follow you
Instagram.
back.
but You weren't on
Yeah,
there.
I don't use Instagram because it's just I would sit there and compare myself to other people I went to college with, and I realized that's not a good idea. And Twitter has now suspended me, which I think is for life because I can't even use a new email address because within 2 days they catch on that it's one of my accounts, and instead of trying to get my
Oh,
old account
weird.
back, I had 15,000 followers, not to brag, but I felt pretty accomplished because I had some good memes on there, and Twitter just made it go away. But so currently I'm just on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I am working on editing some videos that I like, some sketches that I took, like my one woman little sketches I do on YouTube. So again, it's just Barbs versus the World. Check it out. If you're in the New York
Did I spell that
area,
right? On the ticker on the bottom, did I spell it right?
yes, you spelled it right. Perfect.
Did I spell TikTok right?
Yes, you did spell TikTok right.
Okay.
It's the retard way to spell it. They have you spell it the retard.
It's the Chinese way.
Yeah, it's the Chinese way.
So and if you're in the New York area, like come find me at an open mic at just any at New York City Comedy Club. This not at Stand Up New York, Old Man Hustle, just like open mics around the city. I'm trying to get on some book shows. I'm working on it. Just climbing up that little ladder. And yeah, and if there's any Compound Media listeners, I will definitely be back on Mornings with Bill and Joe as a regular guest. I don't know if I'm allowed to promote another show that I'm on.
Oh, yeah.
or
Of
something
course.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, wherever you're gonna be, go for it.
Cool. Yeah, and so
I don't
that
censor shit on here. That's up to other people to censor stuff. I don't do that.
They can
Yes.
censor themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
just
dude, and if you ever come over to California, have you ever been to the Best Coast? Have you ever been over here?
I've been once when I was a kid. I went to my mom was dating a nutritionist out in Malibu, and
Ooh, fancy.
I was really pissed the entire time because we didn't go to Disneyland.
Let's say way to rub it in our
so
faces.
overrated. It's fucking overrated.
Well, if you ever come up to Northern California, where the
I would
mountains
love
are and all the
to.
forest fires, come check us out.
yeah, next
Yeah.
time
I
you
would
come
definitely
here,
love to.
We've hosted tons of people. So a lot of people have come through this area and we're like, come stay at our house. So we've had a lot of random people that we've never met before just come
podcast.
stay at our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We barbecue
It's
for
really
them. We play
fun.
movies outside on the projector. It's
Yeah.
fucking great.
We have fun.
Oh my god, you guys are the best hosts ever. I'm a good house guest. I always leave a thank you note. My mom always taught me to leave a little thank you note when you stay at
I don't
someone's
need
house.
that. Maybe just
No,
don't
remember
shit on your bed. That's
Andy,
it. That's
Andy
my...
left a really great note. We are the heathens.
Oh yeah,
who
the
walk in and
heathens
out of
who walk
doors.
in and out
Yeah.
of doors. Yeah. All right, thanks guys. Thanks live listeners. Stick around after the show, Barb, and we will say our proper goodbyes. But thank you, Rockland listeners and watchers,
everybody.
and all that.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see everybody again.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for
Legit
showing
That.
up, Ben. We love you.
Yeah.
Well, T-Boy Carl's Jr.